Hello, how are you? My name is Aisha, and today I would like to speak to you guys about Black codes. So, Black codes were basically restricting Black people against having rights of anything, um, rights to property, conducting business, buying or leasing land, and moving freely around public places. So, basically, moving freely around the country that they were held captive in. Um, States criminalized men who were out of work or who were not working at jobs classified or recognized by whites. So that jobs whites recognized. It didn't matter if it was a working, 9 to 5 job for you. If the whites didn't recognize that it was a job, then it wasn't a job. And that was basically ruled to put you back into slavery. So I'm actually going to be reading this from botanica.com. Here we go. So, Black Code. Black Code. In U.S. history, any of numerous laws enacted in the states of the former Confederacy after the American Civil War and intended to assure the continuance of white supremacy. So even the Britannica is telling you white supremacy. Let's see. Everyone says white supremacy. What is white supremacy? White supremacy, beliefs and ideas purporting natural superiority of the lighter skinned or white human races over other racial groups. I'm sorry that I'm sorry. Just so you know, other people can be white supremacists. Blacks can be white supremacists, i.e. Candace Owens. Asians can be white supremacists. Mexicans can be white supremacists. It's just upholding white status, just believing that even if we'll say, a Black person, if you're a white supremacist, you still believe that they're greater than you and that you can do nothing without them, which is pretty pathetic, but that's just how people are. It's super funny that I think of Candace Owens as a white supremacist, and I actually watched a YouTube video from Jesse Dollamore, and he had a video called Candace Owens Holds Water for White Supremacy. This is a white male telling you what this bitch is about. So I will keep reading. Enacted in 1865 and 1866, this was the Black laws since I was ranting. The laws were designed to replace the social controls of slavery that had been removed by the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. So the 13th Amendment was abolishing slavery. I will show you so you can believe me. 1865 to the Constitution of the United States that formally abolished slavery. So, Black codes, quick facts, key people, Andrew Johnson. The Black codes had their roots in the slave codes that had formerly been in effect. The premise behind chattel slavery in America was that slaves were property, and as such, they had few or no legal rights. So Black people, no rights. To this day, people will tell you have rights. You got a few rights, but you can still get shot down the street. That seems like you have no rights. The slave codes in their many loosely defined forms were seen as effective tools against slave unrest, particularly as a hedge against uprisings and runaways. Because, when you're enslaved, you don't have the right to run away. You just got to do what these crazies say. Enforcement of slave codes also varied, but corporal punishment was widely and harshly employed. The Black Codes enacted immediately after the American Civil War, though varying from state to state, were all intended to secure a steady supply of cheap labor, and all continued to assume the inferiority of the freed slaves. So lazy ass people wanting to keep you in slavery so they could just sit on the porch drinking lemonade and shit. There were sorry. There were vagrancy laws that declared a Black person to be vagrant if unemployed and without permanent residence. A person so defined could be arrested, fined, and bound out for a term of labor if unable to pay the fine. So right back into slavery. Meanwhile, think about this. You're telling them if they're a vagrant or that they don't have a residence, if they don't have a permanent residence, they can go back into slavery. But you literally just let these people out. Literally, one day they were enslaved. The following day, they were like, bye-bye, Negroes. You guys have a good time. Hopefully you can take care of yourself. Bye. Sorry if you guys are just going to have to live on the streets. We're going to put your ass back into slavery. But at least slavery's over. Bye, Negroes. So that's basically what they said with a smile on their face. And you know that's what they said. This really is a serious situation. It's just you have to laugh at our history because it's so grim and it's so horrible. And people will have you believing that it wasn't that bad. Yet when you read your own history, you're like, bitch, get out of my face with it. It wasn't that bad. Let me thrust your ass back into slavery and then Reconstruction and freaking Jim Crow laws, Black codes. Let me burn your houses down, kill your children, do all kinds of shit, and then tell you it's not racism or it wasn't that bad. We'll see how that works out. We'll see. Portions of a vagrancy law enacted by the state legislature of Mississippi in 1865 provide an example. So this is a long one. I will read one of the examples and I will leave this article in the description for you to read it yourself. So, Section 2. Be it further enacted that all freedmen, free Negroes, and mulattoes in this state over the age of 18 years old, found on the second Monday in January 1866 or thereafter with no lawful employment or business, or found unlawfully assembling themselves together, either in the day or nighttime, and all white persons so assembling with freedmen, free Negroes, or mulattoes, or usually associating with freedmen, free Negroes, or mulattoes on terms of equality. So they want you to know, white folks, you are not equal. They are not equal to you. Or living in adultery or fornication with a freedman, a freed woman, free Negro, or mulatto shall be deemed vagrants. And on conviction thereof shall be fined in the sum of not exceeding, in the case of a freedman, free Negro, or mulatto, $150, and a white man, $200, and imprisoned at the discretion of the court. The free Negro not exceeding 10 days, and the white man not exceeding 6 months. So they were telling you, stay away from them Negroes, or there will be hell to pay. Apprentice laws provided for the hiring out of orphans and other young dependents to whites, so little Black kids, who often turned out to be their former owners. Wow. Some states, maybe that's obviously where they get the whole foster system, huh? Everything's coming down from slavery. It doesn't matter. If that's what a country is formed on, that's where all the laws come from. That's where all the mentalities come from. It's just what it is. Okay. Some states limited the type of property African Americans could own. And in other states, Black people were excluded from certain businesses or from the skilled trades. Former slaves were forbidden to carry firearms or to testify in court, except in cases concerning other Blacks. Legal marriage between African Americans was provided for, but interracial marriage was prohibited. So Blacks were excluded from certain businesses and from the skilled trades. So Blacks were trying to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, and someone stole their boots, it seems like, because here I am trying to get my shit together and you're telling me that I can't even do some jobs or I can't even get education. So don't ever listen to the people that say Black people are uneducated. Black people don't know this. Black people don't know that. No, that was stripped away from us. Every single time that we tried to go to school, and that this is way after this section in time, we couldn't go to school because of the color of our skin. We couldn't go to college because of the color of our skin. So how are we supposed to gain this knowledge that America's giving if we were prohibited from fucking everything? Think about that. That's a total mind fuck right there. You're stupid, but you weren't allowed to go to school for hundreds of years. You're ridiculous and you can't get your group together, yet you were only really, really free from lynching, firebombing your houses and all that shit for what, 65 years now? But you're supposed to get your shit together after 65 years of being totally tortured by the dominant race. Think about that. Okay. It was Northern reaction to the Black codes as well as to the bloody anti-Black riots. Think about that, anti-Black riots in Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana in 1866. See New Orleans race riot that helped produce radical Reconstruction 1865 to 1877, and the 14th and 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The Freedmen's Bureau was created in 1865 to help the former slaves. Reconstruction did away with the Black codes, but after Reconstruction ended in 1877, many of their provisions were reenacted in the Jim Crow laws, which were not finally done away with until passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, almost 100 years later. Not quite 100 years, almost 100 years. So once again, frustrating. Everyone wants to tell Blacks what they haven't done, how you're not making strides, but literally every single time you make strides, someone tells you that you didn't do it right, or it wasn't yours, or why are you stealing, or you can't ever be right in America, it seems like, if you think about it. And I know people are just like, everyone's always blaming the white man for holding you back. Well, who else can you blame at different times in history that was holding you back? And then once again, I just said it resonates today, literally. If you haven't watched my police history of American police, like all these things come down. And the reason why I mention that is because now you literally have white people that deputize themselves and try to control things. But if you watch my video about American policing, it goes back in time as well. These people learn the mentality from their ancestors, from their grandmothers, their grandfathers. And not all of them adopted those feelings. So we can't blame all of them. But what we must do is continue to tell the truth and stop being afraid of the truth, because the truth is only going to set you free. You faking yourself out and telling yourself that these things aren't going to happen, that's why you're in bondage still to this day. Break that shit. I appreciate you listening. I'm going to keep on giving you Black history. It's not going to stop in Black History Month. Okay? We're going to do this all the time, weekly. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.